Earlier this month, Denis Morris, a 24-year-old man, was given a 6-month suspended sentence for stalking content creator Chloe Koyce. And Chloe joins us now. Chloe, thank you so much for coming in. We really appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
So, Chloe, can you take us back to 21st of March 2025? Take us back to last year. What happened?
So I was actually heading to Dublin for an event, which I was really excited about. It was with guests, and we got to even pick out like our outfits and everything. So I headed there with my friend Lauren, and we went to the Ivy, the restaurant.
Yeah.
It was so nice. Dinner was so nice.
Lovely.
And then we went for a few drinks after with my friend Shane. So it was Shane's first night in Dublin. And it was, again, it's just like whenever I go to Dublin, it's always exciting. It's always an event. It's always fun. So I'm always looking forward to it. And then after, we went to Coppers for a drink, literally just one drink. I would never go overboard. I'm always like aware, to be very honest. And the same when I'm with my friends, we're always aware. And then we had left Coppers and headed straight to my hotel, which was literally right across the road, and that's when I was followed.
So this is on Harcourt Street, a very busy street, and you were at night time going across the road. This is very important. It's not like you were walking half a kilometre somewhere else.
Yeah.
You were going to your hotel across the road where your mother was.
Yeah.
Yeah. What happened as you went into the hotel, Chloe?
So Lauren was waiting at her hotel, or at her taxi, and she was waiting for me to get to the hotel door so she could wave at me. We will never, we make sure that we're both safe before we even leave each other. So I went in the hotel door, and I remember outside Coppers, before I even went across the road, I remember somebody standing really close to us. But with Lauren and Shane, so many people know them in Dublin, so that's like normal with their job.
Yeah, these are the influencers, content creators. You know an awful lot of people. You get stopped for pictures all the time.
And it was happening a lot that night. So like when there was someone standing close to me, I wasn't even thinking, oh, maybe there was bad intention. I thought it was just someone looking for a photo. But then I had headed across the road into the hotel, and the door was quite heavy, so I remember pushing it through, and I heard somebody come in behind me, and only because I had seen this boy standing so close to me outside Coppers, I realised, okay, maybe he's not supposed to be here at all, because it just didn't seem like he was actually staying in this hotel, and there was no one in the reception of the hotel at all for me to even get their attention. So I headed straight to the lift, pressed the button for the lift, and I was even when I got in trying to close the door, and it had closed, but he had slipped through as well. And I knew then, being in the lift, there was no cameras. I couldn't ring my mum because you don't have reception in a lift. So I was just in panic mode.
So what happened when you were in the lift?
So he was standing directly across from me, and I could see that there was a belt in his hand. Now, I don't know, was the belt taken off outside Coppers? Was it on the way to the hotel? Was it in the lift? But when I saw that, I was like, okay, this doesn't seem like a really good situation. I knew, I had actually asked him what floor he was staying on, and he wouldn't reply to me. So I was like, okay, surely if you were staying in the hotel, you would tell me where you're going. So I pressed my floor. I was thinking to myself, I should have gotten out, but I know you can't be thinking of these things. So I had taken a step forward when I knew the floor was coming up, and I actually just pressed record on my phone and just folded my arms, mainly to just record any sound that might have happened, because I just thought to myself, something bad's going to happen here, I'm not going to be able to get out of this lift. Now, thank God, when I did fold my arms, the camera was still out. I didn't even know what I had recorded until I got to the room with my mum.
Yeah.
And thank God there was a reflection in the door of the lift so that you could actually see his face as well. I actually got everything. And I didn't even know what he was doing behind me with the belt until I watched that video.
And what was he doing?
He had looped it around. Now, from watching it, it was my dad that was like, what was he going to do with that belt? Because the way he looped it, was it going to go around my neck? Was it going to go... to even think about it still gives me the shakes, and not knowing... Oh, thank God I had it on video, because not knowing what he was going to do, it's just... In that situation, it was fight or flight, really. Thank God I had it in video.
Something told you to do this. Something told you to record this.
Yeah.
And you're already kind of berating yourself for being in the lift, but we've all been in those situations.
I know. Even just sharing a lift with someone now, I'm like, it would turn you off getting into a lift with somebody.
And you don't want to be there going, oh God, am I overreacting? Do you know, you second guess yourself.
That's what I thought that night. I thought I'm overreacting here. And because I folded my arms, I didn't want him to see me recording, because I didn't want him to feel uncomfortable when he was making me feel uncomfortable the whole time.
And what happened when you got out of the lift?
When I got out of the lift, I just started walking straight to my room. I've never walked so fast. And I remember the shoes that I had on were actually a bit big on me, so I was just trying to like shuffle across the floor. And then I was like, do you know what? If I stop, will he stop behind me? So I stopped and he stopped.
Like he got out of the lift?
Yes, he was right behind me. So I stopped halfway down the corridor and he actually stopped as well and then continued to walk to, I don't know, was that to make it look like he wasn't following me or to just cover his back? But where he had walked to was a fire exit. So he didn't have any idea where he was going, to be honest.
And he walked down to the fire exit and you went to your door and your mum was there. And you went inside. Was that was the last time you saw him?
Yeah.
How were you when you got into the room?
I was knocking on the door for ages and my mum opened it and I remember pushing in the door. I was like, Mum, there's a strange guy after following me up the lift. And she was like, what? So she opened the door straight away and looked out and he had been gone down the stairs by that point. And I remember the little like C hole in the door was too tall for us. So we had to put loads of chairs up to keep looking out to see if he was still there. I rang reception straight away and I was like, this guy is after following me up to my room. Like there was no one at reception for me to even get your attention. And they were like, oh, we actually saw you on the cameras, but we presumed it was your boyfriend. And at that point I was like, you can't presume these things. Like this could have ended so badly if my mum wasn't in that room because he was waiting for me to open the door. And when he had heard my mum, that's when he ran.
So you think that he was waiting for you to open the door so he could push in behind you?
Yeah.
That's terrifying.
I know, it was like, and even in the room, I was still making excuses. Like, oh, maybe he was staying in the hotel. Like maybe he's gone to his room. I don't know why we as women make excuses for this.
Because this is the thing, no matter what happens, right, or you did everything right.
Yeah.
You know, your friend watched you go into a hotel, made sure you were okay, and your mum was waiting for you.
Yeah.
I'm assuming in the room when you talked to your mother, like what was going through your head? What were you thinking? Were you trying to talk yourself down or was your mum going to hold on a second now?
We were both at one stage trying to talk ourselves down because we thought the hotel had it under control. Like I had asked, could you check the cameras and see if he's still in the hotel? We couldn't go to sleep. Like I had gone into my hotel at around 2:00 and this was like 6:00. I was still awake, wide awake, thinking that this person's outside my room. But we had rang reception that time and they said, oh, we presumed it was your boyfriend. And then they sent a guy up to us and they're like, oh, we're going to check the stairs. And they had checked the stairs and they're like, oh, we'll give you a ring to update you. And they never rang. So when I rang down again, they were like, oh, we don't see anybody on the cameras at all, which evidently is a lie because we watched the CCTV in court. So I don't know why, like, if you're paying to stay in a hotel, shouldn't they keep you protected and keep you safe? And I just felt like they didn't that night.
Afterwards, what did you do? Because obviously you stayed awake all night, you couldn't sleep. So the next day, what did you do?
So we checked out of the hotel and I actually said it again to the staff, the morning staff, and they had no idea about what had happened. So it wasn't even passed on, which I thought was a bit of bad form.
Okay.
So I had said it to them and now they were shocked as well. And they were like, oh, can we take your name and your number and we'll give you a call back. We'll check CCTV and everything. That was Friday and still to this day I haven't heard from the hotel at all. So we went for a coffee that morning and then we rang my dad and my dad was like, you need to go straight to the guard station. Still at this point, me and my mum were talking ourselves down, making excuses. My dad was like, you need to go straight to the guard station. So we went to Pierce Street.
Yeah.
It was very busy. There was no guard there at all. So I was like, you know what, Mum, I just want to go home. Like I didn't want to be in Dublin anymore. So we were walking up Grafton Street and I saw 2 guards on the street and I was like, you know what, I'm going to say to them and see what they say. They saw the video and they said, go straight home, go to Limerick Guard Station and report it there. So then this was Saturday morning. My dad was outside collecting me from my apartment. He was like, come on, we're going straight to the guard station. And we reported it. And then Monday I got a call from Detective Eamon Lean who took it on and he's been great.
So those guards that you just showed to on the street, they were like, this, you have to do something with this when they saw that. Yeah. And for anyone who has seen the video, it's really terrifying. It's really scary to think that something like that could happen. And I'm assuming the belt is still in your mind.
100%, yeah. Even like, and this sounds so bad, but even putting on a belt on my own pants triggers me. Or if I see, it's just the small things, which sounds embarrassing in a way, but it's just small things just going to trigger you and it's not going to go away.
So the guards then did take this on and what did they do? What was the result?
So straight away they rang and they tracked down all the CCTV from coppers, from the hotel. They traced him back from, I think it was a bank card that he used. Traced him back, found him, brought him in, questioned him, and then in the end he got the suspended sentence.
So this is a suspended sentence because it is now illegal it's under stalking legislation.
Yeah, since 2023.
That this happened. This was a young fella. His name is Denis Morris. He's 24 years of age. You faced him in court and you gave a victim impact statement.
Yeah.
What did you say in your victim impact statement?
I just wanted to get across how much it's affected me, like day-to-day life, even like with my job. And I know my job isn't a big thing, and I know that he didn't stalk me or follow me because of my job. Like, could have been anybody, but thank God I had the platform to share what happened, because it could have been swiped and pushed under the rug, you know.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to get across that it has 100% affected me, and that like it's just not normal behaviour. And like even with his family and everyone in court, you could just tell that what I was saying just meant nothing. Yeah.
You don't think that it meant anything? That a young woman alone, feeling that vulnerable, and your mind has gone to the worst of worst places?
Yeah.
You don't think it mattered?
To me and my family, 100%.
But that it wasn't taken on? Do you think they think that you were, she's overreacting?
100%. I feel like a lot of people think that, and maybe it's because of my job. I'm not sure, but like it's still affecting me.
But you were still, and I think it's a normal thing, you were trying to talk it down. Yourself and your mum, as women, were going, oh, listen, maybe we're making too, and it was your dad who like legitimised it and go, this isn't okay.
Isn't normal, yeah.
So the whole process, when the guards took this very seriously, did that help you?
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I was even embarrassed to go to Limerick Guard Station and report it. And it was when my dad had said, like what we were trying to say to the guard was, he could have, after he didn't get to me, he could have done to somebody else. So we're just reporting this in case there is somebody out there that did get hurt that night and maybe they're afraid to come forward. All I was trying to do the whole time was just encourage people to take this seriously. Because like you would think if somebody was following me down the street that, oh, they're doing nothing wrong, they haven't touched me. When it's a crime now, like.
So you say that you're you are still affected by this. It's just over a year ago. And it's something that you think about, like how do you feel when you're by yourself? Do you, like you mentioned there about going into lifts, it's not something that you like to do if there's someone else or you don't know someone that's in there.
Yeah, it's like even I need to stop having like this tarnished Dublin for me, because this could have happened anywhere.
I know.
And all of my work is up in Dublin, so I do enjoy, I'm trying to enjoy coming up and going out with my friends. Like even only last week, myself and Lauren went on another night out, went to the same bar, just so we can be like, can we just get this, because the panic attacks just don't stop. I was like, I need to not let this take over my life, because he did, in a way, ruin a part of my life. I feel like, in the weirdest way possible, it's like I'm grieving who I used to be and how I used to be able to enjoy my nights out and enjoy life, and now I just feel like I just can't.
Because it's a psychological issue for you now, absolutely. Yeah. And you decided to talk about this very publicly, and you decided to let your name be out there after you had said, okay, we're going to the courts with this. Was that important for you?
It was, in a way that I knew if my name was on it with my platform, it would have gotten further. That was the only reason. I was like, I don't mind who talks about me, what they say, if my name is out there. I just wanted to get as far as possible. Like, again, the main thing I wanted was to just get his name out there, his face out there, in case it was to have happened to anybody else that night. And just to make girls aware that this behaviour isn't normal. And like, even since I did share it, I'm getting so many messages from girls being like, oh my God, thank God, like, thank you. I now have the encouragement to report what happened to me 2 years ago. I now have the encouragement to report what happened to me last week. Like, I'm always getting messages. So that was my main thing. And like with the video, I just wanted to it wasn't even a story of this happened to me and feel sorry for me. It was, I really want you all to just be safe. Like, as women and as young girls, these things are happening all the time, and not many people hear about it, but thank God for my platform, I was able to share this, and everybody else was able to share their stories too.
Because the statistics show 7% of people aged 18 to 24, they have reported stalking incidents with fear of sexual violence. Right? This is happening amongst your cohort and your age group. And I'm assuming you have had both, like you've had people who have gone both ways in relation to this. So the reaction that you get, has it made people kind of look at what behaviours are normal and maybe go, I'm sure you've heard stories from girls being like, I need to know this isn't normal, right?
Yeah,
Is that the sort of thing that you are getting from people who are getting in contact?
Yeah, it's just like, from what I've been through, do I think that this is a strong enough case to bring forward? And I'm just like, whatever it is, report it to the guards. It doesn't matter how small it might feel to you. Like, I thought this situation was small. I wasn't going to report it at all. So it doesn't matter how small it feels, you have to report everything. And yeah, I'm just trying to encourage everybody that is texting me to just let your voice be heard. Like,
how did you feel about the suspended sentence that Denis received?
It's like, it's mixed emotions, because in my case, this is the best scenario we could have gotten because it's his first crime. And in my head, I'm thinking, well, everybody starts somewhere, you know? So it is just mixed emotions. But then also, I've gotten out of it what I want to get out of it, which is his name is out there, his face is out there, my story is out there. And I've encouraged a lot of young women to report these incidents. And that is initially what I wanted from this whole thing. But now that everybody knows who he is, I know he can't just go for a walk in the park anymore, because I can't without feeling fear. So if anything, that's a good scenario for me.
So, and like that, because I suppose you can't go for a walk in the park anymore, just by yourself.
It's just constantly looking over your shoulder. Like, and what's funny is people ask me, oh, are you more aware now? But I couldn't have been more aware that night. Do you know? So like, how more aware can I be?
Yeah. How has it changed your life in the everyday?
It's like, I just feel like anxiety is through the roof. Anytime I leave the house, and mainly because I'm thinking, oh, are people judging me because of what had happened? Like, did I do something wrong? Are people on his side? Are people not on my side? Just going out, like, it doesn't matter how old you are. Like, this was a young boy. And even when I had showed my mum the video that night, she expected like a middle-aged man. She did not expect a young boy. So to even think that people are thinking these things that young, you don't know who you're safe around anymore.
And has it made you wary of men?
100%.
Has it?
Yeah, yeah.
And have you had people talk to you about, oh, listen, he wasn't going to do anything? Have you had people chat to you about that?
Yeah.
How does that feel?
It's just, until you're in the situation, you don't feel the fear that I felt that night. And you'll know yourself. Like, someone could be standing next to you and doing nothing, and you can just feel that they've got bad intentions. Even if he didn't touch me. It was just, you can feel so intimidated. It could have been a woman standing there with a belt. You'd still feel intimidated. Do you know, they've got a weapon. But when it's a boy versus a girl, like, the girl's never really going to win.
Your job is in the public eye. You are a content creator. You have a large audience. How has that been since all of this, since putting yourself out there? Are you still able to do that?
Yeah, like, even like coming here today, and let's just say I've got like work on, I'm almost like putting that off because of this situation. So for the last year, I've been putting off a lot of work and a lot of just me just being fun, creating content because of this happening. So he has really taken over like a big part of my work as well as my everyday life.
And for anyone who's listening in, what would you like to say to them?
Just trust your instinct when it comes to anything. If you feel intimidated, if somebody is making you feel any way, just please report it and do not keep it to yourself. Like, that is the main thing, and just use your voice, because we all have voices to use. And to any young woman out there, again, just be careful with your friends. Make sure that you're texting each other. I'm getting a lot of messages from women and from mothers saying that their daughters used to hate giving them their locations, and now they're like, oh my God, Mom, this is where I'm going to be today, and this is my location, which is exactly what I wanted. I just want everyone to be safe and to everyone just to have each other. Yeah.
Chloe, listen, fair play to you. I know that must have been very difficult facing him in court.
Of course, yeah.
Was it very hard?
It was. He kept his eyes closed the whole time, which I just thought was very disrespectful.
He didn't look at you?
No.
Is that something that you wanted? Acknowledgement?
I'm just happy that he has ears and he was able to hear everything that I was able to say. You don't have to look at me for that.
Chloe Koyce, it's been lovely talking to you. Thank you so much for coming to us on Ireland AM.
Thank you for having me.